I don't really feel like recording. Yeah, but I could be the best. Yeah. Yeah, I could be the best. Alright, so they say that, I don't have any facts back in this is just a totally made up thing, that your character is only as good as their motivation, which I believe wholeheartedly, even though I just came up with it off of the top of my head. Your character should have a reason that they do whatever it is that they do in whatever medium it is that they're doing it in. So today I wanted to discuss those things. I want to talk about some of the best and some of the worst motivations for some of our favorite and least favorite characters and why they exist and why they are the way that they are. And I believe a character motivation can either make or break your show. If I'm watching a show and the reason that the main character does something is lame, I'm probably going to drop the show 10 times out of 10, unless it's carried by animation, which some shows are. And on the flip side, if your show is not very good in quality, but your character is relatable and I can see myself in this character, or I can feel what they're feeling, I can look past that at times and be like, you know what, it wasn't a great show, but at least that character was kind of cool. So where do we begin? Do we start with the worst or the best? I guess we can start with kind of the baseline of what a character should be, their main motivation, and I think the person that kind of exhibits that the best would be Luffy from One Piece. His whole motivation for doing anything that he does in the show, besides pieces of meat, would probably be that he wants to be the king of the pirates, which essentially means he just wants to be the beacon, the hope, the one who represents pirates and what they could be. They get a bad rap of being the ones who just rule the sea and they just like pillage and destroy things along their way, but no, Luffy wants to have a different idea of what a pirate could be. A pirate could be someone who's good, someone who's dependent upon their crew and is good to their crew back. And if you cultivate those relationships between your crew, they will pay you back in tenfold. And that is what a pirate is, at least to him in his mind, and what they should be. They should be the pillar within their community, I guess. So he's willing to do whatever it takes to reach this end goal, and throughout the story, at least what we've seen so far, it hasn't really changed. He's just been, this is my dream, king of the pirates, I want to find the One Piece and become the best there is, I guess. He doesn't really switch up from that, and that's so ingrained within him, and it's so true to his heart that the people do end up following him. His crew that he gathers along the way, the Straw Hats, they all see it and they're like, you know what, I see the vision, I fucks with it, let's link, let's build, and let's make something amazing out of this little ragtag group of people that we've collected along the way, which he is currently doing and still is doing. So shout out to Luffy for having the baseline motivation, the reason why you should want to do things, that Mamba mentality at the end of the day. Okay, and then on the opposite end, a character who has like a pretty terrible motivation throughout. I haven't seen the show. I've only seen a couple episodes, and because of the motivation is why I kind of just dropped it. I didn't think it was that interesting. It's going to be Tomobishi from Buchagiri. He's the main protagonist of that show, and it's a show about genies, I guess, and they're possessing bodies. It kind of reminds me of JoJo's at the end of the day. There's just the humans and their stands, but it's a little different there. Anyway, the point is, his motivation for doing whatever it is, he lets this genie take over his body and do whatever he wants, basically just gives up control, is because he just wants to not be a virgin anymore. He doesn't really care about anything else. He's like, hey, you know what, do what you want with me in my body, make me do whatever it is, but whatever it is that you're doing, I hope that it furthers my goal of not being a virgin anymore. For most teenagers out there, it's a big goal to have in mind, like, oh, you know what, yeah, I want to lose this. I don't want to be judged anymore for being a virgin. I don't want to be looked at a certain way. But for a main character in an anime to have this motivation is kind of whack. You know, I'm just like, it's okay, but don't you want a little bit more than that? Don't you want to, like, be the strongest in your universe who has Buchigiri, whatever? But that's not the case, at least from what I've seen. It might go further than that, but the first couple episodes that I did watch, that was his whole motivation. Just whatever he's doing, he's just trying his best, because there's a girl that he's in love with, she could care less about him, but he's like, you know what, I'm gonna lose this virginity, be cool after that. So yeah, pretty underwhelming, considering Luffy just had like one of the best motivations for his show. All right, next up is going to be a motivation that I kind of feel like is necessary. It is a motivation that makes sense. Senku from Dr. Stone, his whole motivation for doing whatever he is that he's doing is to restore humanity, because if you've seen the show, and if you haven't, humanity gets frozen and they become stone, and then 300, 400 years later, they come out of the stone and they realize, hey, it's back to just like caveman days. There's not really much going on here. There's no technological advancements. Everything we had up to this point, the 21st century, is all gone. And Senku, being a master of science, is like, you know what? It's my motivation and my right as someone who comes from this past to restore humanity to what it was before, or at least get as close as possible to what we had, because he feels that it is better than living in the Stone Age. But, you know, along the way, you kind of learn, like, there are pros and cons of technological advancements that we've made in society. Maybe some of it is better if we didn't make those advancements at all. But as far as his motivation goes, I feel like that's probably the best that you can have, the most logical motivation you can have, because, like, if you had the ability to do it and the resources, why not do it, right? Which is why I think a lot of people liked it, because it's like humanity continuing on and thriving and fighting back. So yeah, shout out to Senku. All right, bouncing back to the bad motivations. I'm gonna pick Spinner from My Hero Academia, the lizard-looking dude. He just is a fan, basically. Shout out to Kendrick. He is a fan of Stain and everything that he stands for. So I would say Stain has a good motivation for doing what he wants to do. He thinks that the heroes have failed, the humans, the civilians, whatever. And Spinner pretty much just bites that entire motivation. You know, he's like, you know what? That motivation is now my motivation. You're right, Stain. Whatever you said, I'll do it for you. If you want me to kill someone in the name of you, I'll do it. If you want me to join this league of evil people, then I will, just to take down the heroes, because I feel like you would want that, right? You want my hero to fall, and I'll be the one to take it down for you and in your name, Stain. So I feel like that's just a pretty weak motivation. Even in like the current seasons where we're at now, he still just kind of is a background character who's just there. He doesn't really have any cool powers. He's just a guy who mimics another guy, which is pretty lame at the end of the day. And I feel like it could be cooler if he had a better motivation, because he does have a cool design. He's a lizard who can walk and talk. That's pretty cool, but his motivation just is not for me. All right, so on the good side, there are cases where their motivation is not the best, just like, you know, what's his name for his virginity. That's pretty out there. It's pretty whack. But I feel like this one does it in a way that I enjoy, and that it makes sense, I guess. It's going to be from a new show that's not out yet. It will be coming out this year. Dan to Dan, I've talked about it before. If you want to see that video, I think it's gonna be right here somewhere. The main character, Okaroon, his whole motivation, I'm not gonna give you guys any spoilers. You'll see it in the trailer. He loses his manhood, and he has to find them, sorry. He needs to find them and get them back, because without them, what is he? He's nothing without his manhood. And so that is his motivation throughout. I mean, obviously there are other things, but the main driving force in the first couple arcs that we get, or that we will be getting in animation, is going to be that he needs to find them and get them back, because who is a man without his balls, but just a person. And so I feel like it's not the greatest motivation ever, but I feel like it's makes sense, because if it happened to you, you'd want them back, right? You wouldn't want them to just be out here just running amok in someone else's hands, right? Okay, next up is going to be a motivation that is not the greatest, but I respect, because he's a hater, and I feel like haters at the end of the day make the world go round. And I'm going to be talking about Broly from Dragon Ball. This man came to did he even come to the planet? Yeah, he did, right? In the new movie, he did. He comes to the planet to fight Goku, mainly. Vegeta's just there. Because as a child, they lived on the same planet, and Goku was such a loud infant. When crying, it pissed off Broly so much that he remembered it somehow as a child, to when he grew up, he associated everything bad in his life with Goku, and everything that happened to him is his fault. If that child wasn't crying, then my life would be great. So pretty much he held on to this grudge his entire life until he finds Goku again. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna beat your ass because you cry really loudly and it's annoying and I can't stand you. And as a person who is a hater, like I mentioned, I appreciate that kind of hate. And also someone who's not like the biggest fan of crying babies, I know, sorry. I understand it. It's great, but it's not a good motivation at the end of the day. Like, you can't just go and beat someone's ass because as a kid they cried. As a child who cried, that's the whole reason you want to beat Goku's ass? Come on. Even Goku just kind of wants to be stronger than you. That's his motivation, but you just want to shut him up because he's annoying. not the strongest motivation. All right, and last up for motivations that I enjoy, that I feel like make sense, is going to be Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. If you have not finished the seasons, I don't know how you haven't yet, but his motivation throughout, the reason he does everything and the reason it all connects and everything happens is because he is trying to have peace. That's all he wants, man, at the end of the day, peace. He doesn't, a loud chair, he doesn't care about further generations. He doesn't care about the past generations before him. He just cares about his current life and his present and the people around him, his little circle, his friends and his family, kind of. He wants them to have a peaceful life, and the way that he can do that is by doing all the stuff that he does in Attack on Titan. The rumbling and all that. He's doing that for a cause, and that cause is to, at the end of the day, assure that in his lifetime and his friend's lifetime there will be peace. After they pass away, he can't control that. That whatever happens, happens. We do see what happens after they pass away, but in this current life, he just wants peace, and that is a great motivation. Don't you want your family and your friends and your loved ones to have a peaceful life? I can relate to that. That's a good motivation. I get it. You kind of did a little crazy. You went a little crazy with it, but I get it. You want peace. And wrapping up the bad motivations for characters, it's going to be Denji from Chainsaw Man. He just wants to feel some boobs, man. That's it. That's it. Relatable, but not a great motivation, I would say. The only reason, even in the manga where he's at currently, he made a little promise to Pochita, hey, I'm gonna live a good life, and I could do that, and I could achieve that by feeling some boobies. Much like old boy from Buchigiri, same thing. He just has a freaky ass motivation. So I don't know. He's just the kids, man. The kids are all right, but also the kids are freaky. All right, so that will wrap it up for me and my thoughts on these motivations for characters. Like I mentioned earlier, I feel like a motivation can either make or break your character, and you should, if you're writing in any new property, you should make your character as interesting as possible and give them a reason for being the way that they are, but make it cool, because it could really just derail the whole idea for me. And we don't want that. We want to read and enjoy the things that you create in this world, if you do choose to create whatever. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and if you want to check out more of our videos, they're down below. I had the Dan video, like I mentioned earlier. Also, I think I talked about Chainsaw Man at one point, so you can watch those if you want. And also subscribe, please do that. I appreciate that. And follow us. All the links are going to be down below for you as well. If you're not motivated to do that, I understand. This was a long video, and you might have lost motivation, but I've gained it to get your following. That's my motivation, to get you to become an entrant, right? You like that? I'm calling you guys entrants now. Dynamic entry, entrance. We're soft launching it, okay? If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Until next time. Peace, like Eren said.